Well, hey gang, how you doing? Jonathan here for Tailhunter Sportfishing, and it's time once again for the Mexican Minute La Paz video fishing report, covering all of the fishing action for our Tailhunter Sportfishing fleet in La Paz, Baja, Mexico. And this is going to cover the week of the 21st through the 27th of March 2021. Hope wherever you are, you're doing well. Thank you for checking in. And listen, before I go any further, if you like what we're doing, please subscribe, please give us a like, a thumbs up, all those good things. Okay, let's talk about what's going on, because there's a lot of things going on. You know, if you've been listening to us for the last couple of months, it hasn't been that great. We've had some nice little jags of fish, but overall, you know, with the winds blowing, November to April, as I often say, is the off season. Not many people fishing. It can get really rough, really blustery out there, but there's been some nice jags of yellowtail. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what, this has been the best yellowtail season we've seen in, well, almost the 30 years that I've been in La Paz, gotta tell you. And the last week, you know, I haven't used the word spectacular very often, but I gotta say, it's been pretty spectacular fishing for the last week or so. The yellowtail bite has really gone off. The winds have diminished quite a bit. It has allowed us to go to, you know, some of the places that we couldn't get at other times. The north end of Cerralvo Island, the south end of Cerralvo Island, the backside of Cerralvo Island over at Los Pilis, right outside of Muertos Bay at that area between the lighthouse at Las Arenas and Punta Perico has produced not only yellowtail, but pargo, cabria. There's all kinds of white bonita, tasty white bonita running around. We've got Jack Crevalle. It looks like it's really taken off, and we're just excited about it because also it's kind of the start of our season. We've got Easter break, spring break coming up as well, and a lot more people coming into town. A lot more of our fishermen are starting to come in, and it looks like the timing is just going to be just about perfect. So if the winds stay down, I've got a feeling there's some really big fish waiting for us to hit. We also this week, by the way, got our first marlin. It was an accidental bite. One of our good buddies in La Paz, Mike O'Neill, he was jigging for some yellowtail, and he happened to snag about 140-pound striped marlin. Fought it for over an hour on very light tackle, but he got the fish in. Unfortunately, was not able to release it because he had hooked it on the side with a really sharp hook, and it sort of tore up the side pretty bad. But the meat was donated. But overall, that's a good sign that we've got some marlin moving in, because that also means the waters are getting warmer. That also means with the waters warmer, we've had a few dorado here and there, but maybe more dorado going to be coming in real soon. And also, I've got a couple of folks asking, hey, are the roosters in yet? I've got to be honest with you. We haven't caught any roosters yet, but there's two sides to that. One is that maybe the roosters aren't here. Normally the rooster fish are starting to show up about this time of year. But the other thing is that the meat fish, the yellowtail, the dorado, fish like that are so prevalent right now that everybody's chasing fish they can take home. Rooster fish is kind of, it's dark meat, doesn't taste very good. Maybe if you happen to catch one and you can't release it, it's pretty good machaca, make a burrito out of it. But overall, folks are going to be chasing the white meat fish. So maybe the rooster fish are in, maybe they're going to be coming in, but if they're in, just nobody's been catching them. So hopefully we're going to have some rooster fish coming in real soon. But let me tell you about some other things. These yellowtail we've been catching, there's been an abundance of bait. They are eating sardines. They are eating dead bait as well, such as calamari or squid. For those of you who don't know what calamari is. But also, I'll tell you what's been working really, really well. And actually, it's going to be show and tell time, just like being back in school, if I can untangle these. This is what you hear me talk about when I say dragging a lure, dragging a rapala. Now, this is a Rapala X-Rap, and I'll tell you before we start that I'm not getting paid by anybody to use any brand names or anything, although I am listening. So if Rapala, Shimano, anybody wants to give us a ring, I'm open to whatever you'd like to offer. But Rapalas are pretty much known by everyone. This is for those of you who are bass fishermen. We call these crankbaits, right? It's got a lip on it. As it's cast and retrieved, the lip causes it to go down and dive. And, well, if you're slow trolling one of these, and this happens to be an X-Rap 20. They make them in 10s, 20s, 30s, and 40s, which will, it kind of gives you an indication of how deep these things will drive. Slow trolled over some of the rocky areas is not only very productive for cabria, for yellowtail, but also some of the areas. This is one of the deadliest lures for wahoo as well, and we do know that there's some wahoo around, so this is something you want to take a look at. This is a Rapala X-Rap 20, and very sharp hooks. What I do with a lot of mine as well is I take off these treble hooks and I switch them off with a single 5/0 Siwash hooks back and front, and I think I get a better hook set. A lot of times when a fish bites, you've got 3 hooks, they've got very, very hard jaws, and it's very difficult for the fish to sink those jaws in. And a lot of times you get a fish on and he spins himself off, especially like a wahoo. So I'll put in single Siwash hooks, front and back, and what happens is you get a deep hook set on it. As the fish is struggling, that other hook comes around and sticks him in another place, and now you've got your fish hooked in several different areas. So that's something you want to take a look at if you're coming down. The other thing that's been working really, really well is jigging for these yellowtail. Now, in my fishing reports, when you've heard me talk about yo-yo iron, this is your traditional yo-yo iron. It's a candy bar. This happens to be a Salis 4-aught. It's a little on the heavy side, but this is what you cast with. You get on some of the sport boats and you get what we call the Ironman, the jig throwers. You get a 9-foot stick, and we can fire these out, I mean, a mile out. You jig them back to the boat, sometimes on the surface, but this happens to be a heavier one. And when we talk about yo-yoing, we wind really fast, and then we let it drop again. Then we wind really fast, and you let it drop again. And on this flutter is where you often get hits. And this is where some of the biggest yellowtail, some of the biggest tuna, some of the biggest wahoo will hit this on the flutter. And I got to tell you, it is so exciting when you're fishing the jig and then all of a sudden, wham, you get whacked. And you know, a lot of people suddenly get excited and they stop winding. What you want to do is keep winding, keep grinding, so that fish, as it's taken off, suddenly these hooks set themselves into those hard jaws. But this is what's normally referred to as a traditional yo-yo jig. On the heavier side, this happens to be what we call a dorado or a zucchini color, but they come in all different colors. I always carry at least a blue and white, an all white, a chrome one is also very good, but there's a ton of different colors. But I definitely would have one of these in, maybe a white one and a blue and white in my tackle box, or these are the ones we're using. Now, what's been working really especially well this season are the butterfly jigs. Now, sometimes they're known as butterfly jigs, stick jigs, knife jigs. Came out a number of years ago, and like here is a Shimano butterfly jig. This is a heavy jig, very well balanced, but what happens with these, can you see those colors there? They imitate the bait fish that we've got, and on the cast, these things flutter down very slowly. And again, the hit you're going to get on this is very often going to take place right when it's on the flutter. Now, when fishing the iron, here's what's going to go on a lot of times, is you've got to cast it, get it to the bottom. As soon as you feel it stop sinking, wind it up a little bit, or you're going to get it hung up on the rocks. But here's the other side of that. If you're not losing some of these, if you're not getting hooked up in the rocks every now and then, it means that you're not fishing close enough to the structure, which is where the cabria, the pargo, the yellowtail are. They hang out in the structure. So you want to get down to that structure, wind it up a little bit. Now you start your yo-yo action. Winding it back, letting it drop, winding it back, letting it drop, all the way back to the boat. And it's very effective. If you don't know how to cast with a conventional rod, don't worry about it. The nice thing about this is you can underhand flip it, you can drop it over the side, wind back down, wind back down. But these jigs have been very, very effective, and they've been great on the yellowtail. Here's a smaller version. This is a 250 gram butterfly jig made by Shimano, and this one is a 100 gram. I believe it's 3.5 ounce jig. And again, I like the colors that imitate our bait fish. Kind of got a dark top, a dark purple, or a dark black or dark blue top with a shiny side. Very, very good. The other one I want to show you is also made by Shimano. Again, Shimano's not paying me to say this or anything, but I just want to show you some of the things that are working. There's a lot of other brands that make some very, very good jigs, but I wanted to give you an example of some of the things that are working right now. This is a Shimano Colt Sniper. I think some folks will call this a stick jig. All of these jigs, by the way, even though they look like a traditional spoon, are not spooned. They're not concave. They are very, very thick, and they're very heavy. They sink very quickly. And this reminds me of an old Williamson lure, but they call this a Colt Sniper, and you fish it the same way. Drop it down or cast it out, let it sink, pick it up from the bottom a little bit, then start winding as fast as you can. Literally, especially for yellowtail, wind till it feels like your arm's going to fall. And then let it go, let it sink down again. Then wind really fast and let it sink down again. You'll get hit very often on that drop. You'll also get hit just as you're starting to pick it up, and just as you're starting to wind really fast, bam, you get hit. Keep winding, let that rod sink in, let these hooks get back right deep into the jaws of those fish. Anyway, that's a quick little wrap up on what's going on. Got a lot more photos as well in our fish gallery this week. It's nice to be able to say or talk to you and give you a nice report that's actually got some meat to it. So My camera cut out there for a second, but anyway, as I was saying, that's going to cover it for a quick little wrap up, or maybe a little bit longer on what's going on down in La Paz right now. But hope to see you soon. Thank you for checking in, and again, please subscribe and give us a like and some thumbs up. At the end of this, there's a whole bunch more. I'll put a little review on the lures that I have, and also some more fish in our fish gallery for you to check out. Thanks for checking in. You take care. God bless. Hope to see you down in La Paz real soon, and definitely we'll see you on the next video. This is Jonathan for the Mexican Minute.